what I want to talk about today is a poll that I posted in the Healthier Family group, our private Facebook group, and I want to talk through it together. So the question was, if you have three people who eat the same amount of calories but do it differently, who will experience the most fat loss? Now, here were the options. A, no carb or low carb. B, no added sugar. C, no restrictions, just eating whatever they want, but eating the same amount of calories as everyone else. Or D, all will lose the same amount if they're eating the same amount of calories. E was an added option that we're going to talk about. It's part of the reason I wanted to do this video. But these were the options that I originally listed, A through D here. Now, nobody asked this in the group, and totally understandable. I was curious if anybody would have some follow-up questions, because my question didn't give very much detail, and maybe a better way to do it for this particular example would have been to say, if the same person did this three different ways, because when you take three different people, there's a lot of questions to ask. Do they all have the same calorie requirement? So if they're all eating the same calories, but they have different needs, then they're going to lose different amounts of fat, right? So for the sake of this example, the idea was assuming that they all have the same calorie requirement or need and also eat the same amount of calories, what's going to happen as a result? So I want to go through this. Now, the correct answer, the one that I had as the correct answer, the one I filled out once everybody else filled in their answer, was answer D, that they're all going to lose the same amount. And we'll talk through that. I do want to talk through E, because E is not necessarily wrong, this added answer. And I want to talk through this as though, for the example, all three people were the same person instead of three different people. Now, ultimately, it is calories in versus calories out at the end of the day, right? I want to go into a little more of the complexities of this, though. Now, where this can have two different looks to it, or maybe two different perspectives, is whether or not you're in the old way of thinking of, I'm just trying to lose as much weight as fast as possible, and I'm focused on fast weight loss. That's going to affect the way you view this. Now, the way we view it here in the Healthier Family is we're trying to look at what's going to be maintainable, sustainable, what's going to be healthy, a reasonable amount of weight to try to lose over a certain time period in order to help your goals, your big picture goals, and keeping the weight off long term. So having those two perspectives in mind, I want to kind of look at this, and this is why I liked that answer E, because it's not wrong, but again, there's a couple perspectives. So what I want to do is just pretend that we have three identical photocopies of yourself. The reason I'm doing it this way is because we're going to just say it's photocopy. In other words, you're sleeping the same amount, you're drinking the same amount of water, you have all the same requirements. Everything about these three are identical, just for the sake of this example. So let's just say base level, no exercise, all eating the same diet, all things are equal. All three of these people are going to have, all three copies of yourself are going to have the exact same calorie requirement in order to lose, let's just say, 1 pound per week. So they're all going to require the same thing. Now, what we obviously know is if you add in some activity, you're going to burn some more calories. If you eat foods that are a little more thermogenic, foods that speed up your metabolism, they're going to help slightly in increasing that metabolism, and you're going to be able to afford more calories. Now, notice my language there. So you're going to be able to afford more calories, and so you're going to lose weight faster. Again, this is the difference in thinking here that I'm going to try to lay out. So from one perspective, let's just say all three photocopies, identical, and let's go with 2 pounds per week, because that's usually more so what people want to start at. You want to start seeing faster results, and I get that, and 2 pounds a week still healthy and reasonable. So let's just say if they're doing nothing though, 2 pounds a week is going to be a lot from a calorie deficit side, but we'll just pretend that they can eat 1,000 calories per day in order to lose 2 pounds per week. Now, we'll say 2 pounds per week. Now, if person one changes nothing, nothing's going to change, right? Same requirement. And maybe they actually eat the 1,000 calories and they lose 2 pounds per week. I'll read it here. Person two, though, adds in some exercise. They're exercising 4 times a week, 3 times a week, or maybe it's just walking, whatever. They're adding in activity. This person's sedentary. Version 2 starts adding in activity. Well, guess what? If they eat the same amount, yes, it's still calories in versus calories out. And this is what you have to understand. It's not that, well, hey, they ate the same amount of calories and they lost more weight. It's not calories in versus calories out. Yes, it is. It's still calories in versus calories out, but they're burning more calories. They're requiring more energy now. And so therefore, they're going to lose more weight. Let's just say they lose 3 pounds. Now, person 3, we're going to say that they eat a very high protein diet. They are also maybe focusing on some more thermogenic foods in general. And because of that, it will potentially have a slight increase because they're, again, similar to burning calories through exercise, way smaller scale, supplements, thermogenic foods, trying to boost the metabolism, not going to account for nearly what exercise is or calorie restriction, but they could still see an increase. Maybe they increase it slightly. So this is where, from just a plain perspective, you could say, hey, doing things different, high protein diet, that's going to burn more calories. You're going to ultimately lose more weight. What was this one? Exercising, obviously, it's going to impact, right? You're going to lose. Who's going to lose more weight? The person who exercises. Now, but this is assuming, again, that we're not accounting their requirement. We're not changing the requirement for them. So I'm trying to help you understand this because people think, oh, exercise caused more weight loss. Or this one, eating a higher protein diet, drinking a cup of coffee every day and their green tea extra, blah, 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 blah. All those things caused weight loss. No. Let me show you. Now, yes, they aid in the process, but they are not what causes weight loss ultimately. All right, let's do this again. Hopefully this is going to peel the blinders back. Version 1, same thing. We're going to say they eat 1,000 calories in order to lose 2 pounds per week. And they're sedentary, don't do any activity, nothing. And this is a rough estimate to start. You have to recognize, again, that it's somewhat of a guess. Can't know their metabolism. But then after a couple weeks, it might tweak. This number might have to change slightly in order to actually meet that 2 pounds per week. It's going to depend. And that takes into factor things like metabolism, which are affected by high protein diet. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? All those little things can tweak this number slightly, right? And that can affect if you're hitting this or not. But the proper way to do this is to go, oh, I'm not reaching the 2 pounds per week. I need to slightly adjust the calories. Okay. This is the way to do it, to know how much you're going to lose and be able to do this in a maintainable way. This right here is the difference between just guessing and hoping you lose a bunch of weight and knowing how much you're going to lose, having it down to a science, and being able to do this long-term maintainable. And by the way, not have to do any kind of specific diet. This is why I put this poll up in the first place, was to show that it's not about cutting out carbs, cutting out sugar, doing this, doing that. Okay, those things can have their place and we'll explain that. But that's person 1. Person 2, we're still aiming for 2 pounds per week. They exercise 4 times a week. Because of that, somewhat guessing on this, but we'll say they can have an additional 400 calories. It's probably even a little more than that, but just to play it safe, they're at 1,400 calories in order to still lose the same amount a week. So if this person hits their calorie goal of 1,000 per week, and this person hits their calorie goal of 1,400 per week, guess what? This person's going to lose 2 pounds, and this person's going to lose 2 pounds. Person 3, they exercise the same amount, and they're getting proper water, proper sleep, high protein diet, all these other factors. They can afford 1,500 calories, which adds up over the course of a week. This is per day, by the way. I don't know if I clarified that, but calories per day to lose this much per week. And guess what? They do it. 1,500. They're going to lose 2 pounds. Now, this is the point of that poll. If this person eats 1,500 calories, doesn't matter what they're made up of. They're going to lose 2 pounds per week. If this person eats 1,400 calories, that's their need. For them personally, this is considering your exercise level. This is considering your metabolism, all these other things. And again, this takes several weeks to really nail down this number. That's not like a first guess, it's perfect. But especially if you're working with a coach or trainer, hopefully they're taking the time to see what's happening. If you're working with me, you know this. I take the time to see, how's your body reacting? Okay, we got to drop it a little, we got to raise it a little, whatever it might be in order to hit this goal. But once we get that nailed down, it doesn't matter. You can eat fats, carbs, protein, sugar. Now, obviously, I still try to say 80% whole food, natural sources, single ingredients, the healthy stuff, trying to get a good portion of your calories from nutrient-dense foods that are going to benefit your health overall. And then 20% we'll use towards snacks and things like that, and desserts. But the bottom line is, you don't have to go on a diet. You can do this eating foods you enjoy. As long as you hit your calorie goal, at the end of the day, you're going to lose the weight if you know what your calorie goal is. Now, you could argue, someone could say, well, what if this person was eating high protein and they were eating 1,500 calories and that was calculated in to the factor? Or maybe the exercise too, right? They were exercising 4 times a week. Now they dropped to 3 times a week. Well, yeah, this is going to change. If they change their activity level, that number is going to change. So yes, your weight loss will slow down if you don't adjust your calories. You have to adjust the calories with changes in life. But you can do that, and that's the great part. No matter what happens in life, whether it's menopause or activity level going down or just aging in general, whatever it might be, we can still figure out for you what your calorie need is, no matter what stage of life you're in. Everybody has one. And so if you're not losing weight, you just are still eating beyond what your calorie need is. And again, there's ways we can increase this number, like we just showed here. But as long as you adjust, you're good. Now, I think where the protein one is interesting is because let's say theoretically this person's eating a high protein diet. They're hitting their protein number that I give to them, and each week they're hitting it. That's going to account for some of this number. Not a lot, but it's going to potentially adjust that slightly. So there might be if all of a sudden they stop eating protein, they're just like, you know what, I'm going to eat more fats and carbs and cut out my protein. Yeah, it could slightly affect that. But again, if it affects that, really, I'm not paying attention. We're only paying attention to this so that we can change this, so that we can keep losing the same amount no matter what. So all it's going to mean is we might have to drop this 50 calories or so. So again, yes, it could change that, but guess when that's more likely to happen? A big change, a big drastic change like that. When you go on a strict diet, that's more likely to change things because you went from I eat like this is my normal, this is kind of my homeostasis, typical breakdown of carb to protein to fat ratio. And then all of a sudden I go on some strict diet where I cut something out completely, or I'm restricting something. That's going to be more likely to have an effect on this number and then ultimately over here than if you are flexible dieting, if you're actually just counting your calories, right? So, because you can still eat ways you enjoy. Yes, if you're eating super high calorie foods, you're going to be hungry and you're going to eat this up really quick if you're not getting lots of protein and getting healthy sources of food. And so we talk all about that, ways to hit these numbers and feel full at the end of the day, which is part of the goal. That makes it maintainable long term. Again, cutting out a lot of the snacking and stuff. But it's not because it's bad. It's not because this food's good, this food's bad. Might be more healthy nutritionally from that standpoint. But I don't like to categorize good and bad food. You can still lose weight, you can still be in good shape, be healthy, and still have foods you enjoy at times, and that's okay. So yes, part of the goal is to get this number as big as we can in order to make this process easier. That doesn't mean we speed this. We're not just focused on trying to make that number as big as possible, because again, there's lots of issues. Not maintainable, not as healthy, actually kills your metabolism if you go too fast on the weight loss. This number, let's just use, this will be real quick. This is kind of off topic, but I think it's helpful to point out. I can't give you an exact number on these, but just for sake of example, there have been studies that have shown this. If, let's just say your calorie amount to start was 1,500, and you do a very aggressive weight loss, well, let's just say that. Let's say you go in a very major deficit, and you can only eat like 800 calories a day. We'll go really low. You're doing a crazy diet, super restrictive, and even with your activity and everything else, you can only do 800 a day because you're trying to lose 4 pounds a week. And that is insane. Or maybe you're just not paying attention. You're just trying to lose weight as fast as possible. So you're basically just starving yourself, exercising, doing all this other stuff in order to you just want to hit your weight goal. You're super focused. You're like, I want to get to that weight goal. So you're just starving yourself, and you might think it's going great because you're going to see the scale drop fast. Again, remember, when you do it fast like that, it's not going to be all fat, unfortunately. There's going to be a lot of muscle loss. There's going to be a lot of water weight that drops. And so you will drop weight fast. Eventually, you will get to your weight goal. Probably not going to lose nearly as much fat overall as if you would have just taken it slower. Would have lost a lot more fat in the long run. But you're going to get there quicker, right? Here's the problem. Let's just say that your metabolism, so that 1,800 is the deficit. So let's say a maintenance to start. Before you started the program, your maintenance was, let's just say it was 2,800. Because 4 pounds per week is going to mean that you're in a 2,000 calorie deficit. So 2,800 was your maintenance originally. You went into a 2,000 calorie deficit in order to lose all that weight. Well, by the end of your diet, when you get to that weight goal, it's been shown in studies that, I'm going to make up a number, but your maintenance will actually drop when you come back at the end of that diet. So in other words, your metabolism is slowing down. So now if you go back to eating, and this is what happens to people all the time when they do this, they do these extreme diets. This is why they put more weight on in the long run than they had before they started. And I could get it all into your body set point. There's a set weight that your body kind of gravitates to, and that affects this as well. But just for sake of this, let's just say you go back to eating 2,800. Well, you're going to put on weight even faster than before, because now your maintenance is actually 2,500. So these are just important things to understand. This is why I try to teach people to be patient and to do this the right way and in a maintainable and sustainable way. Hopefully this all makes sense. Again, the answer, the correct answer based on how we do things here is D, that hey, you could do it anyway and you're going to lose the weight as long as you hit your calorie goal for you. But yes, in theory, you got 3 photocopies of yourself, person who's got a faster metabolism because of certain things, and is adding an exercise because of certain things and blah, 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 yeah, they're going to ultimately lose more weight, right? If you're using the exact same calorie goal and exact same intake of calories. So yes, there are things that increase metabolism. That's true. There are things that increase your calorie burn, like activity and exercise. That's very true. However, those things, once taken into consideration and figuring out your calorie need, ultimately the amount of calories you consume is going to determine how much weight you lose, regardless of what the breakdown of those calories are. Hopefully that makes sense, and I will see you in the next one.